Welcome to episode 6 of the Sporting Chancellors podcast presented by themeltingpress.com. This is Conor Hayes here. I'm joined by the usual suspects, James McDermott, Dave Hughes and Colm Booth. It's great to see you again, lads. I think we're going to start with rugby this week. Munster v Leinster at Thomond. Colm Booth, it was 18-9, no tries. Is it as dour as it sounds? Was it as dour as it sounds, I should say?
I believe the first half was rather dour. The second half it kind of picked up, certainly from a Leinster supporter's perspective, and seeing as that's my perspective, I was quite happy with it.
So who impressed you then, and who did impress you?
Well, I think one of the people who certainly didn't impress me was Jamie Hagan when he came on. Struggled quite a lot in the scrum. There was a kind of a bizarre decision from Nigel Owens. He'd been threatening to yellow card someone throughout the first half of collapsed scrums, and and then in the second half he yellow carded both Marcus Horan and Mike Ross simultaneously, and thus took Leinster's best scrummager. And
so look, I'm not going to lie, I didn't see it. He booked both props at the same time. Just to even it up.
Yeah, well, no, what was happening
was his thing is that both Irish scrums are so bad that he just he wanted to punish them.
Well, what was happening was before the two teams were going into the hit, and before either team could start pushing against the other, the front rows would collapse. And seemingly, judging by Joe Schmidt's post-match comments, what was happening was Marcus Horan was going in with his head below hip height, right. Which meant that he couldn't actually hold Mike Ross's weight up. And this meant that the scrum was going straight to ground. And it's something the Irish scrum, and I believe the Australian scrum, has been doing for a long, long time.
They were very critical of Owens on RT in the first half. They have this on the front line segment. It's kind of like the rip off of Sky Sports Heineken Cup coverage. Yeah. And basically showed 3 or 4 scrums, exact same scenario, exact same thing happened. Nigel Owens, it was random who got the penalty. It was just on the spot. And then he threatened to give, I'd say he said next offence to book 9 times.
Yeah.
Royal was riled.
Ryan, just on those awful front line things, and it's a more general thing. It's just like, can I watch the game?
Well, Sky do it well.
I don't know if they do. I want to watch the game.
Well, when you've got a stoppage in the game, a game like rugby isn't as it's not as free flowing as soccer. I
kind of like I'm a traditionalist. I like my analysis afterwards. I like to immerse myself in the game. Well, actually, the most annoying thing about all sports coverage these days is the constant slow motion shots of everything all the time. Like you'll see Wayne Rooney's snot coming down his nose, and it's like, well, we really need to see that, and like the facial expressions and everything. And that's worse. It's worse in rugby because it's like the old slow motion Rocky punch. When the attack
every hit is so much worse with the slow motion.
Kind of off the topic there, but Hagan came on and did even worse. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, what happened was Hagan and Dupree, the Munster substitute loosehead, prop came on, because when you have props on the bench and 2 props go off, what you have to do is you have to bring your subs on, right, and take off generally back rowers so that you can still have contested scrums. But when Dupree came on and Hagan came on, the Leinster scrum suffered in the 10 minutes that the yellow card, for the duration of the yellow card.
They've signed this new guy, Michael Bent.
I don't know anything about it. I think he's only made 5 appearances for the Hurricanes. So I mean, it's tough to kind of pass judgment. Yeah, you'd have to hope that. Could he be
worse than Hagan?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Hagan had a really good season last year with Connacht, but he just seems to have regressed. Yeah. Maybe it's a case of now.
Well, you see, the thing is, you can have a good season for Connacht, and it's
the
pressure is complete. The pressure is completely different.
It is.
They won at the weekend, and people were out in the streets dancing. I'd say,
away
from home. They never went away from home ever. They have obviously.
And they beat a team with three Grand Slam winning Welsh players and the opposition forward pack.
This is it. So, the Welsh clubs, they're kind of ways opposite us, isn't it? They're clubs.
The regions, they call them.
The regions, sorry.
Yeah, they're completely. You see, the thing is, it's completely artificial. They just picked up a map and kind of drew borders, which included various clubs that had been kind of rivals.
The Munster, Leinster, Ulster thing is quite artificial. It's a franchise. They only played as representatives.
But even the idea of the region that they're representing is something that is, it's come down through.
Oh, there is certainly more history.
Like there is the province of Leinster. There's no such place as Australia. Like it's it's kind of.
And I wish there was. Right, so we'll kind of have a look at the Heineken Cup quarterfinals this weekend. It should be a great weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I think Leinster.
Yeah,
I think Leinster have a brilliant chance.
I was going to say. I mean, surely, that's.
Yeah, surely.
I mean, they
beat Cardiff 59 earlier in the season, 50 points to 9. So I mean, and Cardiff are missing Sam Warburton.
Oh, he's out. Is he?
He's out. He's definitely out.
Huge,
there's doubts over. I think Jamie Roberts, Gethin Jenkins, Paul Tito, who's a former captain of the Blues. So I mean, it's Leinster are the greatest kind of obstacle to victory.
They don't deserve to win a Heineken Cup if you can't beat Cardiff Blues at home.
Well, that's true. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And then I'm really interested in this one actually because Munster v Ulster. Yeah, Munster v Ulster. We can, Ulster. Very good record against Munster in recent years. They've even beaten them at home. They've even beaten them at home. So is there any? Could that be close? Could that be?
I think certainly going on the performance of Munster last week, where it was a good defensive performance from Munster in terms of they didn't concede a try when Leinster got on top of them, particularly in the last 20 minutes. So I suppose they can take some heart from that. But otherwise, it wasn't really a performance that you want going into a Heineken Cup quarter final. The only thing I'll say is that Stephen Ferris went off injured against Aroni. Now they're saying it's not too serious and it's an ankle injury. It's not the knee. Yeah.
The knee. Would you have played him against Aroni? That's a kind of a big.
Well, I suppose he's trying to get he's trying to get his team together. The team he wants to play against Munster wants him to get a hit out. Maybe get some of Declan Kidney's coaching out of the system, and prepare in the best way possible for the Munster game.
Just actually, sorry, will O'Driscoll play for Leinster?
Oh, definitely. He played 80 minutes there against Munster.
Right, and he was.
He was good in defence. He didn't really offer a huge amount in attack, but you'd have to imagine that'll come with games.
And Gavin Henson was sacked today. Was there some incident on a flight? There was some incident.
It was a flight at 7 a.m. And his excuse was that he hadn't stopped drinking from the night before.
It's fine. Not if you're a professional rugby player.
Hammered as well.
Let's not get too preachy.
Yeah, they got hammered by Glasgow.
Yeah. Then he got hammered.
And there was it was an incident with an air hostess
and an ice cube apparently. Yeah.
And an ice cube.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I suppose people can draw inferences from that.
My point is, was he ever worth the trouble? This because, in my opinion, obviously you have these kind of nutjobs, Maradona, but they're always worth the trouble because they're so talented. Yeah. Was Henson ever that talented?
The guy won. I think he won under 21 Player of the Year playing for Wales. He was instrumental in that first Grand Slam in 2005. The first Grand Slam of the sort of modern era for Wales. He was very important for Gatlin's first Grand Slam. Gatlin backed him hugely, and Gatlin, whatever you say about him, he does seem to be able to spot talent. So
he's been given. This is what
he's been given a lot.
He's been given so many chances by really, as you say, by really good coaches.
Yeah. So obviously there is, or certainly was something there.
But I think at 30, I'd be surprised if anyone wants to take a punt. Henson now.
Yeah. But coupled with that is the injuries. Like he's had so many injuries. If he was doing the boozing and getting up to a bit of mischief, but at the same time being able to turn out for matches week in, week out, then I think he'd probably been cut even more slack than he has been. But when he's a sick note at this stage.
Yeah, so he's not worth the hassle.
No.
He's lost his faith recently as well, apparently. He's not going to church as often. So,
What? Did he have faith? Really?
No. He went to church
Listen.
Oh,
Jesus.
All right, we'll have to edit that out. We'll have to look at that. Right. So if we look at the other, I still don't get that.
Right.
Is it a Charlotte Church guy? Yeah.
I think it was a Charlotte Church.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Oh, rubbish, David. Right, we'll edit all that out. So, okay, we're going to start. Right, so we look at the other two quarter-finals not involving Irish teams, because we do that sometimes.
Rarely,
yeah, I know. Edinburgh v Toulouse and Saracens v Clermont. So two French teams going away. So, you know, they're going away from home, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And first off, you have to kind of say, once again, being sort of little islanders, we have to say, you know, Michael Bradley has got Edinburgh, I think it's their first ever home quarter-final. I could be wrong, but I think it is. And certainly the first time a Scottish team has been in the latter stages of the tournament in quite some time.
Since it's become this big deal.
Yeah, so, and a lot of people criticise his performances, certainly in later years with Connacht, but, you know, he's done a really good job there in terms of the Heineken Cup. Now, their league form hasn't been fantastic, but, you know, but home quarter-final, and you'd have to feel so sorry for them, because, I mean, they first of all, they've surpassed the hurdle of getting to a quarter-final, then they've managed to get a home quarter-final. And who do you not want coming out of the draw, or do you not want to see finishing in 5th place when you get 4th? And it's Toulouse.
That is incredibly unlucky. So you think Toulouse will have
you have to say. I mean, Toulouse have the pedigree. They have a fantastic squad, absolutely fantastic.
And they are unusual in the French team in the sense that they actually always go for the Heineken.
Yeah, they've prioritised it since its inception, and I mean, there's been plenty of success as a result of it. You know,
completely. So this though seems to be a bit more up in the air though. Clermont Saracens have some really good players.
Yeah, they do. But I mean, Clermont, I think, are probably the other team. They've sort of taken over Biarritz's mantle of taking Europe very seriously. Okay. Once they won their first Bouclier de Brenu.
Nice.
Thank you. Or top 14 to layman.
Yeah.
He
is as patronising as he sounds.
Yeah. They have seemed to kind of step it up a notch in terms of concentrating on Europe. And personally, I think they can do it and go through. But similarly, Saracens they probably have the best squad in England. They seem to have a lot of money behind them. Which I don't know how that pans out with the salary cap in England, but they certainly do seem to have a lot of money behind them. They
played at Wembley at the weekend in front of 75,000 people with Harlequins. Obviously, what a great spectacle! I'm sure it was. So basically, the only thing is, if you're saying Leinster, you say Munster, you say Toulouse, you say Clermont. One of them's probably not going to win. You know.
Well, no, and it's something.
And if I was looking at it, it'd be Munster the team I'd say who are going to.
Well, that's the thing. In the history of the competition, only 14 times has an away quarter-finalist won the quarter-final.
Right.
So, I mean, the history would tell you that I'm probably way off.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's definitely scope.
You can only, as John Jaws, you know, I can only say what I know about the game.
Yeah.
It looks kind of. They all look kind of. You know, you give it to the favourite, but I think there's going to be one shot there. And
definitely. It could be two.
Could be two. Excellent. Right. Well,
but I don't think it's going to be Leinster.
There
could be three, but I don't think. No, I don't think it's going to be four.
Yes, lots of use of the conditional tense. Right. We're going to move on to football, and we're going to start at the relegation battle because it's very exciting. You have Wigan on 28. I'm leaving Wolves out of it. QPR on 28. Blackburn on 28 and Bolton on 29. So you have they're all in really good form, aren't they?
Especially Wolves.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Basically, my point is, if we look, aren't Villa in real trouble?
Hugely. If you look at the form table, they're down at 18th place in the form table, just above Liverpool and obviously Wolves, who are out of the picture completely. Villa, they've had a lot of injuries. They've lost Clark. They've lost obviously Petrov now.
And Insomnia as well. Yeah.
Insomnia's gone missing. Yeah, Joe Kinnear's best friend.
Yeah. And Bent is huge. You know.
Huge.
He's pretty useless, but he does score goals.
And he helps Bonahor a lot as well, which is a huge player for them. But they haven't been anywhere near what they were at the start of the season. Perel even Given struggling as well.
Who could have seen it coming as well when they appointed the mastermind that is Alex McLeish?
Oh, completely. Yeah, very strange when you point to your main rivals who's just been relegated as manager.
It was an odd one, but it was even odder the fact that they didn't go for McLaren, right? And whatever you say about McLaren, he's a better manager than McLeish.
Yeah.
He's won a league title.
Yeah.
And he still has a chance of winning.
And a proper league title.
Yeah, completely.
He's been in the European final as well.
And with Middlesbrough. And when Hodgson did that, everyone was saying how brilliant it was.
Yeah, and he's won a league cup.
I think at the time people were saying how brilliant McLaren was as well.
Okay.
It was just
how bad he went with England. But anyway, the point is, they didn't hire McLaren because they were worried about the fan backlash. And yet they went and hired McLeish. It was just a bizarre decision. And Randy Lerner's a really, really good owner.
Yeah.
He's put a lot of money, and he's trying to make them. I think he basically tried to get them into the Champions League, realised that was impossible without completely breaking the back of the club, and has gone back and tried to. But they could have hired. I mean, they did go for Martinez. We shouldn't forget, and he amazingly turned them down. Yeah, fair play to him. And we'll get on to Wigan in a sec. But so yeah, I mean, it just seemed a bizarre appointment, and it hasn't worked. And I don't know if they're going to get another point for the rest of the season, or at least maybe they might only get one more win, which would mean 36 points. And that looked fine maybe 4 weeks ago, but it doesn't look too good now. All the other teams are in form, as we said.
Exactly. Look at as we go back to the form table since January again, to have in front of me very conveniently. No, they have Villa 10 points since January, which is crazy. Rubbish. When you look at
where are Bolton and Blackburn?
They're out of my view. Bolton have 10 points I think in the last few games.
They've
actually dealt with the whole hullabaloo really, really well, haven't they?
And Blackburn as well done very
6
well.
points, isn't it? Since 6 points, 2 games, 2 wins.
They've lost. They won the last 3 games, haven't they? They have. Yeah.
Obviously, we're talking before Blackburn play Man United, and I have a feeling Blackburn are going to get a point there tonight. United have a really bad record at Ewood, so.
Against Blackburn full stop.
Well, I mean, okay, they lost the home game early in the season.
If you wanted to pick a bogey team.
Well,
if you wanted to pick one bogey team.
I suppose they did. When Hughes was manager, they did
Bentley's hat-trick.
The
other word against Pedersen, double goal. So.
Oh yeah,
throughout the years, it had been a bit of a bogey.
So yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm not sure. I'm not on Blackburn. I'm wondering actually. Do they actually have quite a good squad? And Keane is actually underachieving. But because he was so bad at the start of the season, it looks like he's done quite well in recent leagues. They have some decent players.
I think there was a lot of players pulling away. They have a lot of good young players coming through.
Yeah, I mean, Hoyle's a really good player.
Hoyle's a really good player. Grant Hanley looks a very good player. Yeah. There's a couple of good, their youth team have done consistently well the last few years. I think it was the pressure of the fans really kind of took its toll a bit, and the players were so negative about Keane as well, seemingly, and obviously the Keane Andrews situation. And
the Yak has been a great sign.
It's 14 goals this season or something, isn't it? It's something crazy.
But the other thing you have to mention is that when you have an ownership situation like they do in Blackburn, where it is, they're a laughing stock. It's a running joke, the whole Venky's thing. In order to keep a club running. And going well is made hugely difficult for a manager in those circumstances. I know it shouldn't impact upon players, but it really seems to.
It definitely does.
So you have to contextualise it like that.
Liverpool under Hodgson, I give a similar kind of analogy. They didn't, the whole thing with the owners was this big controversy, and the players just it does affect people.
Oh, definitely.
And it's like in any job, if you know that
performance is affected by uncertainty.
Right, exactly, completely. Right, so QPR are interesting. QPR have awful fixtures, just woeful. Yeah. They've still got the 2 Manchester clubs to play. They've other big teams to play. But here's the interesting thing: they capitulated last week at Sunderland, yet they've beaten Arsenal and Liverpool in recent weeks. Not that Liverpool are a big team, let's be honest anymore. But
still 2 goals down.
Yeah, they were 2 goals down with 30 minutes left. So this is interesting. So maybe the big fixtures suit them. I mean, they do have a lot of players. I would call, like Barton, Cisse when he plays.
Journeyman.
And Zamora. Well, it's players who will raise their game, maybe.
Turn it on, yeah.
Turn it on. Well, not that, So
I'm not sure I still think they'd prefer to have easier fixtures than the one they have.
Okay, I mean, all I'm saying is they're not out of it, even though they have really hard fixtures. That would be mine.
I think, QPR, I think the defence they have, Anuha and Ferdinand, they kind of have 2 players who don't particularly like to get stuck in, but who will raise their game against your Arsenal, your Man United.
So there you go. So interesting. I have
your Arsenals and your Man Uniteds. I believe in the league there's only one Man United and only.
It is. It's an awful. I don't know. Your Keanes, your Bergkamps. It's
your top 6 teams.
Yeah. Well, there were 2 Keanes, but okay.
Yeah, no, I know that's true.
I was about to pick him up on that, but I thought, Jesus, even I'm not that pedantic.
Right. So yeah, no, I think Villa are in big trouble. I'd be looking at them and saying they might go down. If you look at how Birmingham finished the season last season under McLeish, they were just awful.
Wigan every year consistently get out of this. They always look like they're in.
Wigan have Chelsea, United, and Arsenal next 3 games.
They do. I remember, and the huge thing was Wigan didn't win last week at Liverpool. They were really looking like they were in huge trouble. They looked out of it.
And there was a lot of pressure at the weekend as well with those 3 games coming up.
And it's just completely rejuvenated. If they got 1 point out of the last 2 games, we would have said they're gone. But obviously they got in the win Liverpool was huge.
This is the thing. Up down at the bottom, you could have these run of fixtures, but you mightn't be out of it by the end of it because you don't know how the other teams are more than likely going to drop points as well. It's not like a title race where you have to win every game. So I wouldn't put Wigan out of it. And Martinez has done an absolutely brilliant job there. Yeah. I'm not as we talked about before. I don't particularly think Wigan are a great club to have in the Premier League. No. If I can be so self-righteous, but but I think as on the pitch certainly they consistently punch above the weight, and they've produced these great escapes, and there could be another.
If I was to be a betting man and put money on it, though, I'd put the fiver on the way it is at the minute. QPR, Wigan and Wolves going down. Yeah,
I have to agree. I think Blackburn do have enough quality, and the only thing is, I wonder about Wigan, and I wonder about Bolton.
I think Bolton's fixtures too.
Are they good? Yeah,
they're the easiest of all the teams down there. So
and they are in good form.
I think Villa will have the quality to just get out of it.
Right. Well, then, yeah. No, I think that's a fair enough point. You predicted Bolton to stay up about 4 weeks ago, and we all laughed.
I know.
So there you go. Don't doubt Dave, lads. No.
Right. He comes up with the gems. He comes up with.
That's why we pay him the big bucks. Right. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move up the table. Not that far up the table though, because we're talking about Liverpool. Andy Carroll came out during the week and said he wouldn't celebrate if he scored. Of course, the dilemma never came up. That was bizarre, wasn't it? He went through on goal. I hope he just fell over. Otherwise, because if he dived there...
I think the way Carroll always is, he's very uncomfortable running. It sounds, for football, he's just very awkward. I think he actually genuinely fall over.
So yeah, he doesn't have great control over his own legs and feet.
No, which is quite important when it comes to football, let's be honest. But no, obviously, clear dive.
The 8th most expensive footballer of all time. Right, so
when you compare him to the value you get from Cisse and Ben Arfa.
Well, this is it. Ben
Arfa for £2 million for Ben Arfa.
This idea of Moneyball, this kind of thing. Newcastle are actually doing it. They're finding undervalued players in the market.
I'm sorry. Are they actually doing it? The Moneyball is based on sabermetrics.
No. What the idea is, obviously, that's a football thing. Like because baseball is a series of set pieces.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a different thing entirely. But what I am saying is, what Moneyball is all about is finding undervalued players in the market. Yeah, and that's what they've been able to do by signing injury prone and risky players. That's what they've been.
Well, that's fair, and it has backfired on
Ben Arfa. We think about Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa was signed on loan originally, and obviously he suffered a horrendous injury, and Newcastle got him down at hugely the value price last January because he was out injured. Had only played a few games for Newcastle, but still looked very good.
That ball yesterday was just an incredible ball for the first goal. And it's actually one of my favourite goals of the season because it's just one of those goals. Perfect ball, perfect header.
But you have to say, three Liverpool men. The guy is so left-footed.
And Skirrell's really, really, really good. He's a really good defender.
No, he hasn't been good since Agger's been out. He's consistently made mistakes in the absence of Daniel Agger. Liverpool's form has collapsed without Agger.
Carra has been very poor.
Very poor. And one of the things Agger does is he takes a lot of pressure off a very pedestrian centre midfield by being, not only is he a good defender, able to read the game well and intervene in that aspect, but he's also able to bring the ball out of defence.
I think we see the difference between Newcastle's defence on paper yesterday is centre Perch and Williamson, but I think you see the hugely important figure of Tadhg there, the shield in the back four yesterday.
Kawhi is a wonderful footballer, and
Schutte makes Williamson and Perch look so much better, so much more.
They won't be there, you think, God, I think next season. But this is the thing, if they can find these undervalued players in the market again.
I think Kawhi will, Schutte say, be kissing goodbye to.
Hopefully not
kissing
literally.
goodbye to. Thank you.
Check.
Right, but on Liverpool, it's, they're actually very unlucky yesterday. They should have had a penalty, it should have been a handball, red card. The second goal was offside and all that. There was a great moment when Kenny, after Reina's capitulation, complete meltdown, Kenny came on the pitch. I thought he was going to put himself in goal, but it was Gerrard's reaction to him was very much like the old, like the son embarrassed by their father coming onto the pitch in a under nines game. He's kind of like, shoo, get off the pitch.
He was literally shooing him away.
And that kind of, I think, summed up the last kind of
people can say they were very unlucky, which they were for the penalty, but again the performance afterwards was just so abysmal.
The penalty and the blatant handball to stop a goal.
That's what I think. That's the same incident. But also that there was Cisse's goal. Cisse's second goal was completely offside.
Yeah, that's okay. Two massive game changing. I mean, the guy should have been sent off on a penalty given.
No,
and then a goal.
Absolutely. But it does, as Dave says, it doesn't change the fact that Liverpool have been poor.
How many chances did they make yesterday? Let's be honest.
Not a lot, and they have been very unlucky in one sense because Lucas has been out,
and now Agar, of course,
and now Agar. But they're
and then Gerrard at the start of the season, Bellamy throughout. Although I think is it 1 or 2 league games that they've won that Gerrard has started?
I guess 1.
Liverpool's record with Gerrard is exactly the same as Liverpool's record without Gerrard.
No, it's much worse.
No, it's not much worse. I'm not talking. I'm actually going over a 10 year. I'm going over a 10-year. I've seen the stats, and this is whereas United's record without Rooney is awful. Yeah. It's terrible.
United's record without Bill Roy Keane. It's awful.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, but this is the thing: how effective is Gerrard? I wonder, because when they're without him, different argument. But when they're without him, it doesn't seem to affect them that much.
Yeah, well, I think certainly this year he's been played completely out of position. There's one thing he does well, and that's a bit like Frank Lampard. He gets into the box and he scores goals. Yeah, he doesn't score as many as Lampard, but he's more prone to score an important one, probably.
I also don't think you can bemoan missing players like Gerrard and Bellamy, who are very injury prone when you spend the kind of money.
Well, Gerrard hasn't been very injury prone up until
2-3 years.
Over the last 2 years, perhaps. But before that, I mean, it's very much a recent phenomenon.
An important
2
point
years.
is
The money you spent in the summer, the money I'm talking about, spent in the summer.
Yeah.
No, okay.
An important point with Gerrard is this final point is the way Newcastle set up the 3-man midfield. Kind of. Gerrard is much more used. Liverpool obviously they're playing the 3.
He needs to play behind the front. Always. He's used this in a deeper role completely. And he has been for years. And yet managers and a good few of them in England and Liverpool continue to play him there. Anyway, we're going to move on to have a look at Spurs. They really played well yesterday in the second half, didn't they?
Definitely. And it's the Bale show again.
It really was, and it's the kind of thing you don't want, because he's so hyped up. Not a personal thing. You almost don't want him to be as good as he is, but he really is.
Well, no, I do want him to be as good as he is.
That's good to know.
I like to watch good footballers.
That's
the reason I watch football.
I think last year he was completely overhyped, and it did kind of turn me off. But he's absolutely brilliant footballer. Basically, Swansea, if you kind of attack them up the pitch,
close them down early, they don't
look anywhere near as good a team. And next season, I look at that and I wonder, are they going to get figured out?
Ipswich syndrome from a few years back is exactly the same.
Exactly the same. So that's an interesting one. Adebayor is a real interesting one for me, because he always has a really good first season at whatever club he's been at. And I wonder if he does get the move to Tottenham, will he try a leg, basically? Yeah. And if they lose Adebayor, they're going to be in trouble, because last season, for the second half of the season, they didn't have a striker, and it really, it was the reason why they ended so poorly.
Defoe was still our top scorer in the league.
And he wasn't even played that much. Yeah. So that kind of looking forward for Spurs. I think they will get the top 4. I don't think Chelsea have the ability to overhaul a 5-point gap, and Newcastle, as great as they have been, they don't have the quality.
And the fixtures aren't suited for Newcastle.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, I don't think
so. The only thing for Newcastle is briefly, if they really need to get Europe, they really need to hope Liverpool beat Everton in the semi-final. The FA Cup.
Oh yeah, they could finish. Yeah, they could finish 6th and not get Europe, which was unlucky, but that's the way it goes. I suppose most English teams don't really give a hoot about the Europa League. I think they should.
Newcastle do this year.
Do you think?
Really? They genuinely do. Yeah.
Why?
It's because they haven't had Europe in what is it now, 5 or 6 years.
That's the thing.
And it was always a big thing for
I don't understand why English clubs don't take the Europa League more seriously.
And when it's more because it's been United and City kind of.
No, but I mean over the years, and the thing is, it's actually Newcastle won. When was the last time Newcastle won a trophy? It was the UEFA Cup.
It was the first cup.
Yeah. So what? You're talking 40 years. So this is a chance to win a trophy, And England and Everton is the same. Everton have been in the Europa League year after year, and they never took it seriously. No. Yet they have won a trophy in 20 years, since '95.
So because their squad was so small.
That is an issue, isn't it? But even Villa with a bigger squad. Remember, they played a reserve team against CSK Moscow.
So it's masked as for a lot of managers is the extra money you get for the extra, for the 5th place or 6th place, rather than next season having more games. It's more you get the revenue from your home games and guaranteed in the league, and you get obviously and
the TV money in the Premier League. You don't get that much TV money for the Europa League. No, absolutely. Right, so obviously again, 6 weeks ago when we started this, Man City were nailed on for the league title. They were odds on. They looked imperious.
I don't think I said Man City were.
Well, that was in week 3 when we made that prediction. So that was after they had 2 bad results.
We had a split.
And I also we were a split down the middle. I also said United would win it. But anyway, we don't know.
I'll go back and listen to the first episode. I'm pretty sure we finished that. Okay, never mind. Go on.
How'd you do that? Because we've so much
back
time
to the glory days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, back before the racist controversy. Right.
I listen.
No. So anyway, so basically the point is Silva's been out. Or Silva's not been out. He has been out, not literally, but he's just so jaded, and they haven't looked half the team since, have they? I mean,
yeah. Well, they lost the Torres to the African Cup of Nations, and it just seemed to stutter.
It's April now, though.
Yeah, but the momentum just seemed to stutter. They just haven't been able to kind of claw themselves back up.
I think the collapse is equivalent to Newcastle '96. Honestly,
not too far off.
It's really not too far off. They've really been that awful for about 2 months now, and the two goals kind of mask it. I was almost, and if they got a fourth, then that may have been a game changer. But they didn't, and the fact is they dropped their first home points. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, their away games are Norwich, Newcastle. That's after the derby, and they have Arsenal next Sunday. It'll be a great game, hopefully. So. Conceivably, they could lose all of them.
Yeah, if we look at the fixtures, we said Swansea, Stoke, and then Sunderland. We wouldn't have predicted to get a haul of 2 points from it.
Yeah,
no one would have forecasted that.
But then similarly, no one could forecast what could come of this.
No, I mean at the end, I've already said I think United might only draw tonight, and it'll still be in City's hand. If United draw tonight, it'll still be in City's hand.
And pretty much everything we've been talking about, certainly at the lower end of the league, is you've been looking at fixture lists and trying to predict, and the predictions have been absolutely and utterly.
But it's just they're not playing well, and it's not going to get any easier for them. That's basically.
Now United, what is it, 9 wins out of the last 10 or whatever it is.
They've actually been brilliant since, and as desperate as bringing back Skulls, and it was desperate. I don't think it's an unfair comment. It was a desperate move. It's been very effective. So desperate yet effective. So that's all you really want. And he can't do it against. He was found out. And you can't do it against bigger teams or whatever. Yeah. But against your Boltons and your Blackburns, because there's a good few of them there. He's perfect. Yeah. So that sums it up. So we're just going to move on. James, you look at the club replay. You predicted it. Bang on.
Yeah, it was a tough
Crossing Glen Rangers absolutely hammered them. How did they draw in the first place? That's probably the only thing you'd say.
They did what every team has done outside Westmeath. They underestimated Garrycastle.
And not the second time.
No, you only ever get one chance to beat the big team in Gaelic football.
In any sport.
The example's always in indicator level. It's always Kerry. If you don't beat Kerry the first day out, you're not going to catch them off guard 2 days in a row. Yeah. And Crossing Glen are the Kerry of club football.
So who impressed you then at the weekend?
There's this young lad, Hanratty.
You say it like you don't know his name.
Francis Hanratty.
Yeah.
Well, I have good reason not to know his name. He's been a bit part player for Crossing Glen. He wasn't involved in the first match, and he was started there. I don't know what he did in the 2 weeks training. But
great training.
But he obviously took it onto the pitch. He scored 2 goals in the first 18 minutes. It ended as a contest. Very, very fast, very effective player. Two excellent finishes, almost carbon copies of each other. It's also worth noting that the reintroduction of Stephen Kernan, as I said last week, he'd been suspended rather unfairly, perhaps, for a supposed strike against Dr. Crokes of Kerry. He came back. He made a huge difference, and I think both teams have a lot of reason to be proud. Garrycastle have gone an awful long way for a club of their size. And it was just upsetting that they couldn't really take it on last week, because they only ever get that one chance.
It does have to be mentioned that his name, I've forgotten his name, the Garrycastle manager possibly had one of the worst working weeks a man could ever have.
Yeah, for Anthony Cunningham's name.
Yeah, Anthony Cunningham.
What happened?
His Galway team got emptied. Absolutely
emptied. Galway hurling manager now.
Yeah.
Because he obviously didn't see Garrycastle go as far as they did.
Yeah. So he manages Garrycastle footballers.
He got the job this side of Christmas, and he said, "Look, I'll see Garrycastle out to the end, and I'll then."
What a great guy!
What a great guy! But
there you go.
I mean, he definitely delegated the training to his coaches, but he had to, of course. But
he's a pro. Wink, wink.
I'd imagine he is a bit of a pro. What have we said that? Sorry.
Controversial.
Well, I mean, there's no. It has to come out sometime. Like these payments to managers have to be dealt with, but I have no problem with the guy being paid if he's doing what he's doing.
Exactly, that's fair enough.
Well, I think we don't have a lot of time left. I'm going to say one thing: why should a manager get paid, not a players? It's
because there are how many players, how many managers.
Yeah.
See, and the managers have to travel out to every single match the players play in to watch every single match.
The players aren't going out to travel. They get beamed in, do they?
No. The players play their one match a week. He has to travel out to 6-7 matches a week to see what players playing well and what matches.
And also, what you have to say
selectors
is
as well, doesn't he? 3 selectors.
Yeah, they're
they select the team.
They wouldn't be paid.
No, there's a different. Selectors is a misnomer, really.
Yeah.
Okay. They should change the name then.
Yeah. Part of it is you only have one manager per team, and you have a squad of the guts of 30 players, and in a sport which is very parochial, small time, relevant to the other professional sports, you see, I think you can only afford to pay one person. Then the person to pay is the manager, and that's the person who's the most footloose as well. It's you don't see players moving too often.
You're either an amateur sport or you're not.
Yeah, no, that's not true.
If you want to have the big, pats on the backs, we're amateurs.
I'm not saying you want to have that. I'm just saying this. It's something. It's the most practical thing to do.
Are too high.
You don't agree? There's an hypocrisy there.
No, I'm saying to you now. I would like for payments to be banned, but unfortunately, I don't think they can be. So it's better to have them out in the open. Rather than all this kind of just this kind of this mystique about them, and then managers saying, "Oh, sure, I've heard whispers that another manager's earning more than I am." And
I remember being told that.
I'd rather they weren't there.
Yeah, I remember being told in a pub that the Navan O'Mahony's manager was on 30 grand a year, and they say was told the exact same thing about the Dunshaughlin manager a year later. In a pub talk. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's a case where your knowledge of these things comes from talking to LGA lads who be in the know in pubs, and it becomes twisted. And there could well be absolutely no truth whatsoever.
No, it's an important point as well as the players. There's so many positions in clubs now that development coach, development officers, or whatever you call them, is like look at Sylvester's in Dublin with all the likes of Begley.
Begley on 60k a year.
This is my point, right? You can't have, and I'm not saying yous are doing it, but you can't have this idea, the pats on the back going, we've got a great amateur ethos, and then have all these underhanded payments. And if you say bring it out in the open, that's fine, but then you have to get rid of the amateur ethos. Then you can't have the pats on the back saying we're a great volunteer organisation, we're brilliant.
Well, there still are volunteers in the game.
Yeah, there's volunteers in all sports. Shane. Actually, every single sport. The GA volunteers are the ones that are vaunted. The other lads don't get any.
I think this is
League of Ireland is run completely on volunteers. And you don't get the slaps and backs, the points bought for you or anything like that.
I think this nicely segues into an article you were talking to me about, James. You said you read in the Sunday Independent.
Oh, is this the Eamon Sweeney article?
Yeah,
it was actually fantastic. It was about rugby's arrogance.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's an arrogance which is probably similar to GAA, and he was leveling this at rugby solely, and this is rugby's sense of self. But similarly, you have the same hypocrisy in the self-conception of many sports. No, I don't think it's.
Golf is actually another one where you have this idea that players don't cheat. Whereas it's very hard to get away with cheating in golf simply, because you're just watched every single time.
Yeah, I think both rugby and Gaelic football and lead hurling GA are going under huge transition periods. I think Jay will come out of this with payments to managers and with certain other payments. I
hope so.
But I don't think it'll be done in a day. I don't think rugby will get a name as being a violent sport in a day. It'll take a long time for that tide to turn.
It's I understand why it's frustrating. The payments issue will run and run, right? And that's a good place to leave it. It was a very interesting discussion actually. Well, I just have to say thanks a million, lads, for the last 6 weeks. I can honestly say...
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. I can honestly say I don't dislike you any more than I already did at the start, which is quite an achievement. And hopefully some of the listeners agree, although I completely doubt that. No, it's been absolutely brilliant. So Colm Booth, James McDermott and Dave Hughes, thanks so much. And I want to thank Tadhg, Prendiville and Ciarán Schutte as well. And Alex Full behind the scenes have done some absolute Trojan work making up for our horrific errors.
And there were so many of them.
And there's been so many of them, especially today.
So tough flight.
Yeah, it's been a tough day. So I just want to say hopefully we'll speak to you again soon in some capacity. Thanks very much.